with all commissioners present, I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome guests, staff, visitors with us present here this morning. The first item would be approval of the agenda. And Mark, do you have?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Our commissioners? Not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Sample approving the agenda. Support?
Support.
Commissioner Westerland supports. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby approved. Is there any public comment this morning? Second call for citizens' public comment. Last call, either here or online for citizens' public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion.
I'd make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner LaVisca moves the consent agenda. Support?
I'll support.
And that motion is supported by Commissioner Carney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. The consent agenda is hereby approved. On to a Hope presentation. Megan Cummings. Welcome, Megan. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Thank you for having me. So Megan Cummings, Executive Director with Hope. Again, thank you for carving out some time for me this morning. I'm bringing this forth with just a request for consideration for allocation as a nonprofit here in Aitkin County. We've been serving Aitkin County for 44 years, so since 1981, providing victim services. So pretty incredible amount of time. We're heading up on our 45-year anniversary. Some of the big things, because I know when we ask for allocations, that means you're in charge to oversee what do our taxpayer dollars want and to go towards. So I thought it was important that I emphasize that we've worked really hard under my leadership over the last 7.5 years to boost and get that community donor investment and participation in our organization and what we do. Excuse me, I will say 7.5 years ago when I came in and I was looking at the finances, I was like, why can't I find, where's our donation dollars? How many have we received? How many people? They're like, we don't have any. And I was like, whoa, we need to do some changes with that, right? Which took a lot of relationship building, networking, and understanding of getting the word out there. That kind of goes with the domestic violence world. You know, a decade ago, it was kind of hush-hush. You didn't want to advertise what you're doing. You didn't want to say where you were. But then, you know, as the times changed, we became to realize people weren't able to necessarily access us and find us in the ways they needed to. So here's a picture of in May. This was the 3rd annual Walk to Hope. It was actually held over at the Crosby Ironton High School, and they sent a formal letter over here to the county and then to the high school and challenged them. So this was year 2 in a row that they had a little trophy made. The student group leads it all. They do the fundraiser on our behalf. Aitkin High School came over. They bussed kids over. It was pretty great. So we have almost 200 that show up for this walk, and they raise a few $1,000s for us each year. So big picture, though, is kind of showing 239 volunteers. That could be showing up at the walk and participating, being somebody that decides to host a pancake breakfast at their church and doing a third-party fundraiser for us. It could be one of the many quilters that bring quilts into our resource room. There's various ways that they volunteer. Our crisis line is staffed with community members that we train and help assist. So over 7,000 hours. So if you do the math there, that's like almost over 3 full-time employees. So without our community support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. That dollar amount I'm pretty proud of, that $29,402. That goes to unrestricted funds to keep our doors open. Big picture of our funding, the one grant that we get that's state and federal is the Office of Justice Program. We get $125,400 to do all of our operations. So as you know, for staffing and benefits, that doesn't get you very far. That leaves us about, almost $300,000 gap that we had to fill with other grants, donations, fundraisers.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure can.
When you guys put in for grants, 7,000 hours, that's, what do they allow now?
It depends on the grant. It really does. It depends on the specific grant.
But the average is about $30 an hour.
Yep, I would
That's a
agree.
lot of money when you got matching grants.
And the hard part with that is we have zero matching grants anymore. Those are far and few between, honestly. The Office of Justice Program stopped doing their match portion several years ago, and we don't receive any match grants.
But what about like the Blanding Foundation?
We are not considered in their funding region, although I know they've funded businesses here, but we aren't a business and we don't bring to the community in that sense. We just are deemed in the public safety victim services.
What about the IRRB?
I have never been able to receive funding or get past their first round either. I'm wide open to ideas and suggestions or other potential grants,
I'm
for
just
sure.
throwing stuff out there because
Yeah,
I'm very involved in a nonprofit, and that's why I ask
yep.
how much when you go for matching grants and stuff, and that's out there.
Yeah,
Like
Right.
even take and say $20 an hour for a volunteer hour.
yeah.
Right there's
huge.
$140,000 for matching grants out
Absolutely.
there.
And for us, like the United Way, for instance, right, is huge on showing volunteer commitment and hours. And we only got on the radar with United Way. As you probably all know, Aitkin County is kind of a lost middle child when it comes to funding. It's really hard. We're not big enough. We're not considered in Central. We technically are Northeast, but yet we're not when it comes to a lot of the funding. So we're, as you all know, it's the battle you face every day.
Neither fish nor
So
fowl.
United Way, we got completely cut from this year. It went from 5,000 to 2,500, even 2,500. We're like, okay, 4 reports to get my 2,500 in 4 increments, but I still did it. And then this year, we didn't get any funding. So it's getting, as you all know, more and more challenging. But yes, impressive numbers. That means a lot to us. That means our community is backing what we're doing. Okay, so I know, I wasn't here just a couple months ago to share all that we do. Everything we do is free and confidential, just reiterating that. From filing protection orders, helping them in the civil and criminal court process, the support groups that we provide here in Aitkin County Jail and at our office, all of the things, right? Transporting, nothing is a charge to anybody. Here again is some of the numbers from last year. I did the 7-year average too, and we stay right around that 500 is our average for a number of individuals that we are helping in a year. So when you look at case count, I have 2 advocates and 1 intern because I got a grant for a part-time internship advocate to help. We've cut all other administration. We've laid off 2 people in the last year. But that's to hold a caseload when you talk adults and households, 237 for 2 full-time advocates. That's heavy. That's huge. Most comparable is like to social work. And I know here they average about 10 cases. They can't have more than 15 according to DHS guidelines. So you're talking 15 max to like 100 and 125 per hours. And there's no way around it for us. We already know that we're facing these challenges and we do all that we can, but the need is there, the demand is there. Showing just financial assistance, after hour calls that we get, the number of contacts at 5,150. For all of our grant reporting, we have to do extensive, right, like statistical stat tracking. And so that's showing every time, every phone call, every email, every person that walks through our door, every time they approach us or every time we're doing something on behalf of them with somebody in the community is logged and tracked. So that's just showing for 2024. This is just kind of emphasizing the benefits of our services to others than just the victim survivors, which, yes, they're top priority. They see firsthand what we're doing, but then also their children and their pets. We provide services and make sure that they're taken care of. We make sure they have the food, the shelter, and are cared for. If it's medical or vet, we have special grants that we do that. And I will say, like most of our grants, and this is the challenge we face, are special project grants. Very few allow for operations, which makes it a little challenging to be an executive director and keep everything flowing. So some of our community partners that we emphasize are the civic organizations and the youth groups that step up and really work with us to do a lot of the fundraising on our behalf and get the word out. They invite us in to present to large groups as well, so people are more informed about what our services are. And then community partners that we work very closely with that, you know, if we weren't there providing these services, their caseloads are going to be affected as well. And that's law enforcement, prosecuting attorney's office, crime victim coordinator, child protective services, probation, workforce center, support within reach, which provides the sexual assault service portion. And again, just, you know, emphasizing we take all referrals. We help usually, if not always, same day, whenever referred to by any of our community partners, and free and confidential. Let's see. So getting into the nitty-gritty, some of the numbers, kind of sharing. Where I said we shaved off, you know, from last year when we ran into some huge hardships. As we know, grants are getting more challenging. We've lost some of the private foundations that used to once fund us, like Otto Bremer, were consistent for the last 6 years, and now you have to have a budget of $2 million, which we don't have. You know, even last year they put it to $500,000. That's not our budget. And now it's more geared towards like hospitals, which we compete against them too when we're writing grants. And, you know, us compared to Riverwood Healthcare, when you're looking at numbers and who you can serve, are going to look vastly different because we're doing different work and we're different sizes. But we compete against them. So that's just kind of showing right now this year, as of July 1st, our budget is set at the $342,475. Kind of bringing it down here where our reality is, where our checking account sits, right? So we have like 40,000 and 10,000 of that is unrestricted, meaning that we've raised in fundraising or donations. That allows for paying anything administratively, commercial policies, right, for our insurance, any repairs on my building if I were to have it. Everything else is restricted, that 33,000. My hands are tied. Advocates, direct client services, I have a pet grant, I have a transportation grant. They're very specific, which we know is more and more common in the grant world. People are wanting to have a very specific project that they can say this is what the dollars went to, which just makes it a little more challenging when we don't have any contracts or any billing services to provide for that income stream.
Have you guys looked at the VA and the band?
So with the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, is that what you asked, band? So we get, the way we've been able to work with them is we get $1,000 for a community donation in support annually if we write and request. That's the most we've ever been able to get. They have their own violence prevention team and the shelter in Walk-On. So we kind of run into that too, similar with the Region 5 area is they're like, well, we have a shelter here. I'm like, well, but look at how much we're doing for everybody, you know? So yes, that's where our partnership lies there.
What about the VA?
We haven't, but I will say if there was anything that could be connected, I think we would be. Our board president at Hope is Penny Harms Monroe, who's the VA coordinator here at the county. So she knows all the things to know as far as if there was something. We take referrals from them, you know, and we help clients.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah. But there's no dollars that come with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, could you go back 3 slides to
Absolutely.
show me the agencies that you said you're working with? One more.
Oh, sorry. The community
Right there.
partners? Yes.
Okay, real quick question for my edification.
Sure.
You said your community partners. So if you have an issue with child support or whatever, are you a handoff service? You get the notification, you hand it off to Health and Human Services, and they do their job?
Yes and no. So we definitely do warm handoffs, but we as advocates will work with them through the whole process. So they will have, and we make sure that they're connected with county services. We're immediately, right? We want to get them there. But oftentimes, a lot of the clients that we're working with do not feel comfortable necessarily even being one-on-one with if it's child protection services, child support officer. So our advocates will accompany them and support them in whatever way that means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
there's a lot of, there's a lot of crossover there too, for sure, to make sure that we're kind of filling the gaps too on going above and beyond and being the one to make sure they follow through with their paperwork. And if they work with an advocate, the odds of them cooperating through an extensive trial as well or completing their paperwork packets is much higher because we will assist and walk them through the whole process to make sure that that happens.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So here, I just wanted to demonstrate like the effort that is really truly being put forward for trying to get grants and diversifying. It might not look like it when you see, 90% of your funding is still reliant on grants. Yes, that is true. However, the 26,000 in donations only accounts for 7% then. But in the grant world, so last year, for instance, I wrote and applied for, and I'm doing the applications, the reporting, and all of the things that might fall under the grant world for them. But we applied for 28 grants. We were awarded 20, which that obviously has gone down because the grant world's getting harder. That's our reality. Denied 8 of those grants. So you can see the dollar amount requested is much lower. So it might look better even that, you get 70% of your grants. Yep, we might, but I might be asking for $20,000 and I get $1,000, So that's where that dollar amount comes into play. And it takes time. I mean, to be honest, a lot of this is starting small, building trust, and showing that you follow through with all of your deadlines and that you produce your outcomes. And then year 2, you're looked at, and reevaluated as well. So then, yes, fundraising, and I will just say, as you all are very well aware, but to be a nonprofit in Aitkin County is kind of challenging. We don't have any big corporations, right, that say, here's, I can see my sister agencies and they're taking a picture with their local bank. I'm like zooming in, I'm like, $40,000, we got 100, It's a very different scale that we get. Or, we have one grocery store to do bagging for a cause. So it's hard because we reach out, we've done this in the past, and then we're told, that's too high of a volume day for customers. We'd rather not have more activity in the store. And we're like, that's when we need it the most, right? We need our awareness. We need to be getting out there. But those are just some of the challenges that we face here as well. The court fines fees, like this month, I think we got $7. So, on average, that's what it ended up being at that time for a year's worth, but it's not really something that is substantial.
Commissioner Sample?
Yes.
You said you got one grocery store in this county. Or you guys, do you work with Euchra's or any of the
Cities?
outer Hill City?
So we work with them in the sense of, I'm a huge believer when we get our grant dollars that we are to keep them local and put them back into our communities. So for instance, when I did 2 relocates for a family, so 7 different people, to Hill City and to McGregor, when I went and filled their house full of groceries before we left, $600, I shopped local. I went 3 blocks up to their local grocery stores and spent all those dollars. I believe that's what I should be doing.
But did you ask them for money?
We have not. No, we have not.
You'll find that the Hill City, the Glen, the McGregor, Jacobson, these communities are giving.
Their civic groups are amazing. They all are on our list because if we do an annual appeal, that's where that donations amount also comes in. Like we do 400 people in our county, civic organizations, businesses, and individuals that have supported us in the past or knew that we want to get on our radar. I take them off the mailer if we'd get no response after 3 years because save the postage, try for somebody else. But I will say, yes, all of the Lions clubs and the snowmobile clubs for all those areas, the fire relief departments, amazing and support for us. The actual grocery store I hadn't thought of though for their.
But I was just curious when you said we got one grocery store.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's a lot of mom and pop shops out there in Hill City, Jacobson, McGregor.
But I don't know, have any of them done bagging for a cause where an organization gets to come in, bag groceries, earn tips, Do they do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Euchre does it all the time.
Okay.
They have the kids come in and bag groceries.
Yeah,
And
as a fundraiser.
we tip the jar.
Yep.
You know, and they make a good amount of money.
And
Another agency, if I might, Chair, is the Hill City Funding. Up there, they have a committee and it has funding to give to nonprofits.
Okay.
So, and if you leave me your card, I'll email or whatever.
Yep.
I'll put you in contact with that person.
That'd be amazing. Yes.
Commissioner LaVisca.
Yeah, I would
Yes.
just kind of piggyback off of what Commissioners Sample and Carney are talking about. I would certainly reach out to businesses around the county.
Yep.
A lot of times what we see is we'll fall into being pinholed in just Aitkin. And our county is way more than Aitkin. You know, we got Hill
For
City,
sure.
McGregor, Glenn, we got
Yep.
and we've got businesses that are willing to give. So I would certainly look at broadening that potential.
Yeah, definitely. That's good points. And we definitely can. The other thing to consider is my advocates cannot fundraise by Office of Justice program. So that leaves me and whoever I can recruit for volunteers. And then we don't have mileage either. So to drive, extensively, it gets to be challenging as well, which you all know. But I would take any leads and resources that you can provide me. Absolutely.
Megan, in your
Yes.
funding,
Yes.
rent 1,400. I'm
Yes.
curious about that.
So that only captured the month of June. So we tried, because as you know, we used to do housing. We had 3 private apartments that we could hold up to 11 people. So we got approval and so our one back apartment, we are doing as a short-term rental with a working professional. So it was somebody that got a job with the DNR that was doing a 6-month contract. So that was the first month. We get $700 a month in rent. So we can use that. It goes right back into our services for Hope. So that was 1 month's worth, the security deposit and the 1 first month rent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm hopeful that it goes well, and so far so good, that we can continue something similar. Okay, so here was just when I had sat down with Jessica Seibert a few months back. We had just went through, because I work with these people, right? So Support Within Reach had shared, yep, we get county funding, we get allocations. So I kind of asked, okay, what are your victims? How many are you helping caseload-wise? And not that we're comparing in the sense of, I don't want them to lose their dollars either, right? We all need it. There's not enough dollars to go around. We know this. But just showing that we have never came and asked in 44 years for any type of allocation of support dollars. We currently receive 0. We do have a very heavy caseload that we assist with. And our request amount that we brought forth was $5,000, would be used and dedicated, earmarked for general operations to kind of be used at the discretion of the organization to ensure, hopefully, that there was no gaps in services with our different grants that we work with as well. Yeah, and that's what I had for today to share and to make an ask for. Were there any other questions?
Commissioners?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner LaVisca.
And I think I already know the answer. I believe you do. Do you guys you guys are at the fair, you have a booth and presence at the fair?
We no longer do.
You don't? Okay.
No, they had before I came here 8 years ago, and they would take used stuffed animals and sell them for $0.25 for a spin wheel. One, I can't staff my people. I can't have them fundraise. So that would be me.
Okay.
And it was not proven to be effective.
Okay.
And no dollars accumulated from that other than outreach. And we have the people coming to us now.
Okay.
So the outreach is there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments, questions? Thanks for the presentation,
Yeah,
Megan.
absolutely. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
On to Land Department, Land Commissioner, DJ Dennis Thompson. Welcome.
Morning, DJ.
Yeah, good morning. I had a couple things here. The first one, and actually both of them are regarding the Pine Knoll canoe access that has come up in multiple Mark gives me the high five there, that has come up in multiple county board meetings, and we're getting closer to it. We're hoping for a completion here this fall on it. But the first one is just the authorization from the county board to go ahead with the project. So we had a public hearing on the 24th of June with no in-person comments other than Aitkin Township, Terry Bentley that came and was in support of it, and then just a couple of the comments that we received via email. So at this point in time, we were just basically looking for a motion authorizing the land department to go ahead with the public water access. I will remind you, it is fully funded by DNR, so there's a cooperative agreement with DNR for that. And that has already been signed and has been accepted here by the county board as well, so.
Commissioners, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
I'd make the motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner LaBisca, support.
I'll support.
Commissioner Sample supports. Discussion.
Yeah, I think, Chair, if I might, I think this is phenomenal. You're gonna be, just with the paddle your glass off, you'll be able to raise the participation numbers. Possibly, I was talking to Tim Terrell, he's been talking to you too, you know, maybe bands and all of this stuff, so it will just grow exponentially. You know, I think this is great.
Is there any further discussion? Not, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Party at the river.
Yeah, he's gonna have to if he wants to be involved.
Land use agreement.
So, brings us up to the second item, now that we have the green light for the project itself. One of the things that we ran into with this particular project was Glendale Avenue or Glendale Township Road anyways. And when we started doing the survey work out there, we noticed that the actual right-of-way from the road is not centered in the right-of-way.
What?
I know, hard for me to believe too.
It is so.
It was off to one side, so when we started looking at the east side of this access, the land that the county administers is actually in the river, and that the right-of-way, the
They've been doing a good job.
yeah, the township right-of-way actually extends out into the river. So the work that was going to be done on this access on the east side would actually be in the right-of-way of the township road. So we initially started looking at a partial road vacation with the township to vacate part of that township road, so that we could get the project in. After several meetings with the county attorney, several meetings with the township, to go through the road vacation process in this particular area was just not something that was going to be very easy to do, very feasible. So we ended up coming up with another type of solution, and that was with the Jim Ratz, actually county attorney had put it together, was to have a cooperative land use agreement that we sign with Aitkin Township. Basically, they are allowing us to put the access in. We are taking responsibility for the maintenance of it. It's similar to other cooperative land use agreements that other townships have had with other entities. So it has been reviewed by Aitkin Township. They are fine with signing it, but they were going to wait until the county had signed it first, or until we had it approved with the county first. So at this time, looking for a motion to enter into a cooperative land use agreement with Aitkin Township for the Pine Knoll access.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Commensurate with the request, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sample, support.
All support.
And that motion is supported by Commissioner Carney. Any further comments, questions, discussion? Pine Knoll is one of the broadest terms in this county. Depending upon who you ask, you're gonna get a different answer. Which Pine Knoll is this, DJ?
I know, and it's the one north of town. It's the Riverside Point area.
I didn't really, the name just kind of stuck when we started because there's a landmark out in that area that is referred to as Pine Knoll. I have no idea why this just got dubbed Pine Knoll. I was hoping to name it something else, but Pine Knoll just kind of stuck, and that's where
Yeah.
we're at.
Okay,
But
Jay's point.
just curious.
yeah, so, and then just a quick the last step is conditional use permit through the county. And we're hoping to get that here in the next month or so, and then DNR is already starting to construct the cement slabs or planks that are gonna be put in for the access. So we're hoping here at the end of summer, early fall, we'll actually have it finished, so
Be good, maybe you could bring some drone pictures or something.
we certainly can.
That'd be great. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried. DJ, anything else?
That was all I had for this morning.
Okay, commissioners, any questions
you.
of DJ? Thank you.
Yep.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I talked to Chris yesterday. Did he get out and look on the Sioux line south of McGregor? I had a call over the weekend and I went out there and there's a 3-foot washout.
Okay, south of McGregor?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if he took a look at that. I know we got beaver issues up on the Raby, and then we got a call for Rock Lake, basically from Axtell to McGregor. Some beaver issues in there as well. But I can certainly remind him.
But that's a big washout. I went and put caution tape up over
Okay.
on the 4th.
Okay,
Had
just
a
south
call.
of McGregor.
I had a call from a township supervisor.
Okay. Yep, I'll make sure he's,
Sheriff,
yeah,
I might-
we got a couple spots right now that are
You got the one at Swatera also?
needing attention. Yes, yep.
Okay.
So,
All right, thanks,
Do we
DJ.
have any permits or anything for people to apply for to get rid of these beavers? I mean, we've been talking about this for
yeah, we
hundreds of
have.
years.
We will contract with local trappers to take care of it. We will do what we can. We also have APHIS and Fish and Wildlife Service. We have a yearly contract with them for beaver control. We're actually implementing them now on some spots off the Sioux line in the southern part of
So
the state down in Williams Township.
Okay,
So
they're everywhere. They're
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, and we do.
It's insane.
We do what we can with them, but yeah, there isn't enough trappers out there to go around. But we do contract with trappers where we can to get into some of these problem areas. If it's an area where we can't find a local trapper to get in there, then we will utilize the Fish and Wildlife Service for getting into some of these other areas. And it's an endless battle.
Private. If it's your private property, you can just, they're not protected, are they?
They are not.
Okay.
But they're not.
If they are causing damage, there's some weird wording on that. But if you,
Can they
if
not
you,
be causing damage?
yeah, if you're a private landowner and they're causing damage on your property, I don't think there's a conservation officer that would hesitate to issue you a nuisance
Citation.
Yeah, a nuisance permit to go ahead and to trap them or dispose of them if you're a private landowner. But it's
Okay.
go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Endless
Commissioner
battle.
Sample.
you know, last year they took away that money 2 years ago. That was for beaver nuisance trapping, but then they put it back in.
Yeah.
And nobody went for the money because nobody knew about it. It was the best kept
The
secret.
nuisance to go through
And then
to
they
get the
tur-
money.
And they
It's
took the money away.
30 pages of paperwork.
Yeah, and then they took the money away and they said, well,
They reallocated.
nobody does it, so we make it tough to get. Then we take the money away because nobody puts in for it and we don't go out and advertise it.
There's been discussion at this county level about bounties.
Yeah.
Has that been resurrected?
Some townships I know have issued bounties or have offered bounties for trappers. I've heard anywhere from $50 to $100 per beaver. We certainly have the option and have paid trappers on a per beaver basis as well, if they're in on some of the forest roads and in on the ATV trails. So, yeah, it's a tough nut to crack. There's not a lot of trappers out there, and there's not a lot of demand for the fur. It's not very valuable, but
Like I said about 10 years ago, we need to get the Discovery Channel. And just like the alligators, you know, shoot 'em, Elizabeth,
yeah.
they would come out here and they'd make a ton of money.
Instead of swamp people, we got
Oh,
beaver people.
we got beaver people, you got it.
Mr. Chair.
How hard is it to become, or what does the trapper gotta do to get registered to trap for you guys?
Nothing.
You just apply for,
Yep.
let them know what you're doing.
Yep, we have a list of people, if you're a trapper and you wanna do some nuisance trapping for us, give us your name and number and what part of the county you'd be willing to work in, and we will put you on the list and put you to work.
Commissioner LaVisca.
Yep, so I guess since we're on the topic of beavers all of a sudden, I was gonna talk to you after the meeting, but have you heard of the, couple issues in Millward Township yet?
In Millward, no.
Okay, I'll get in touch with you after the meeting.
Okay,
As far as a bounty, looking at it from a cost-benefit ratio economically, it costs the county money.
yes,
So that would be the basis of the determination of how much you could pay for a bounty.
yeah. And we have a spot on the Raby line just west of the Jacobson campground. There's two culverts that go under the Raby line, and one of them was replaced last year. Both the culverts have beaver gates on them, and the dam has been blown multiple times. The culverts have been cleaned multiple times. And I was up in that direction here on Thursday, and there's actually water coming over the Raby line right now because of that. It's just,
Well, and a lot of the trappers, they want to work in the winter.
right, yeah. Yep.
them all.
And it's hard to trap
to
them
do
right
it
now, but,
Yeah.
Okay, DJ, thank you.
yep.
Went above and beyond the call of the agenda, Dave.
All right.
Call the Discovery Channel.
I'll see if I have any connections with
There
the
you
Discovery
go.
Channel.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
on to Environmental Services. Andrew Carlstrom, Director. Welcome, Andrew.
Yes, good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
On this beautiful morning, it is.
It is certainly.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so today we have our second reading of the amendments to the septic ordinance. And I'll go through the reading. We did the first reading on June 24th. And so if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair, I'll just go through
Absolutely.
the second reading. Okay.
Thanks, Andrew.
You bet. Okay, so starting at section 1.1, that was repealed. That was a statute 471.82. Then we go into section 4 definitions. We've defined a composting toilet. A composting toilet is a self-contained unit not connected to sewer or water and has two principles of operation. Liquid is evaporated and solids is biologically decomposed into compost. Type 1 system, an SSTS that is designed according to Part 7080.2200 to 2240, including but not limited to trenches, beds, mounds, at-grades, or gray water systems. Type 1 systems must be placed on natural and undisturbed soils. And we know that's what the state of Minnesota, that's their intent, is to protect those type 1 sites. Type 2 system, SSTS that is designed according to Part 7080, 2270 through 2290, including but not limited to holding tanks, privies, and septic systems installed in the floodplain. Type 3 systems, SST that deviates from requirements, Part 7080, 2210 through 2240. These systems constructed according to 7080, 2300 include but are not limited to systems built on fill or disturbed soil. Systems constructed on sites with less than 12 inches of natural soil above the periodically saturated soil or bedrock, and reduced size systems with time dosing. Very common in Aitkin County, type 3 systems. Type 4 system, SSTS, that is designed according to 7080-2350. These systems utilize registered treatment or pre-treatment technologies in order to meet various treatment requirements that a standard system may not accomplish. And type 5 systems, an SSTS that is designed according to 7080.2400. Okay, then we moved on to section 5.6, prohibitions, and we talk about holding tanks. And we moved that to section 6.4. We kept in the first sentence, holding tanks are not allowed as means of sewage treatment for new construction on lots created after January 21st, 92 within the shoreland, and January 10th, 1995 outside the shoreland. And that, again, that's the state intent that we continue that as a goal. So moving to section 6.4, holding tanks. And this is where we've lightened up on the ordinance, and we've made it, I think, more common sense, allowed people that are for seasonal uses. So we struck the first sentence on 6.4, and the new language is holding tanks may be allowed for the following applications: for dwellings and seasonal use, use fewer than 180 days per calendar year, and water usage is not more than 150 gallons of water per day. 2 type 1 soil treatment areas must be identified with a management plan by the designer when applicable, and preserved for future use by the landowner. So, yep, so that's one of the checks in place. B is when it can be conclusively shown that a type 1, classification 1 or 2 as per Minnesota Rules 7080, 1860, SSTS cannot be feasibly installed or as determined by a licensed designer and approved by our department. And again, this is right on line with the other counties, and it's meeting the Minnesota Rules 7080 intent. Then we move on to holding tanks installed after the date of the enactment of this current ordinance shall follow these conditions. The owner of the holding tank must install a water meter to continuously record indoor water usage. The department may request water usage readings at any time. And B, a management plan meeting the requirements of 7082.0600 must be provided by the licensed designer.
Mr. Chair, from me?
Commissioner Sample.
Okay, I got a question for you, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
I got a type 1 septic system. I got a mound. It fails. Can I put a holding tank in?
Why does it fail? Do you have a reason, or just?
It just blows out.
Okay.
It fails.
Yeah. That's we'd have to look at why it failed, if it could be reconstructed.
It was struck out above. The comment was struck out above. If you go back up right here.
Holding tanks may be allowed as replacement for existing failing SSTS which pose an imminent threat to public health or safety, and only when it can be conclusively shown.
Right. Well, you struck that out now.
Okay, this supersedes that covers that. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And that was the MPCA. They reviewed that and they said, yeah, your language supersedes that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. 6.6, SSTS for recreational vehicle / fish houses used as recreational vehicles. RVs that have manufactured built-in holding tanks for gray and black water that are on a parcel of land without a principal dwelling unit for more than 60 days in a calendar year must comply with the following. If there is running water from a well to the RV, a standard type 1 or type 2, we added that language, holding tank, that'll be allowed now. SSTS must be installed. Where there is no running water from a well to the RV, at a minimum, an outhouse privy must be installed, or a toilet waste treatment device as an as in section 5.66 of this ordinance would be allowed. Holding tanks will be considered as per 6.4. So that brings you back up to the, so we just kind of eliminated some of that unnecessary language. 6.7, difference in standards. Setback distances from mound septic systems to buildings, property lines, wells, road right-of-ways, ordinary high water level that covers the rivers, creeks, and streams will be taken from the outer limits of the absorption area. So we've lightened up on that. We haven't, we're not as strict on that. So. And 8.4, permit applications, no change to that one. And then moving on to 8.9, operating permits. And this is, what we're proposing here is it's gonna save money for the homeowner, it's gonna save time with our staff, and these are good systems, these type 3 systems. So 8.9, operating permits must be submitted on forms approved by the department. An operating permit shall be required for the following SSTS. SSTS with high-strength waste effluent standards that exceed Minnesota Rule 7080, 2150. And then we struck out number 2, 3 or more connections, and that was approved by the MPCA. Again, that superseded that. 3, type 3 system. This was the big one we were getting at. Excluding type 3 systems constructed on sites with less than 12 inches of natural soil above the periodically saturated soil or bedrock. Type 4 and type 5 systems. So this is our contractors, our designers, they're excited about this change because this is a common sense change that we're making as a county, less restrictive. And number 4, SSTS that exceed a daily flow of 2,500 gallons per day. And number 5 actually falls right into 4, so that's why we struck that out. So, and finally, 10.14, administrative fees. Any application for a permit that is made after the work is commenced, which requires a permit or is done in violation of a permit, may be charged and after the fee. That kind of gives us a little authority. So working with the folks that are building these systems. So those are the proposed changes, Mr. Chair.
Commissioners, any questions? If not, this is the 4th stage of a 4-stage process. We've had the public hearing, we've had the first reading, we'd have the second reading. Time for action.
I'll make a motion.
Motion approving by Commissioner Carney, support.
Support.
Motion supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. The proposed ordinance is now by official and adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yep. Second or third item on the agenda would be to request motion for a committee of the whole meeting. If it was to work with the commissioners on July 31st at 1 p.m. The Aitkin County Shoreline Management Ordinance, which is our most comprehensive land use ordinance, has been under review and discussion by the Ordinance Committee since the fall of 2024. As you remember, we held a committee of the whole on November 21st of 2024. On June 18th, a press release of proposed amendments was posted to the Aitkin County website, sent to Aitkin Age, Aitkin County cities, townships, lake associations, Clara, Minnesota DNR with written public comments requested on or before July 18th. We've only received one since June 18th. Attached is the press release with a summary of the proposed ordinance amendments as well as the proposed amended ordinance, requesting consideration of holding a committee of the whole meeting on Thursday, July 31st at 1 p.m. Pending any additional changes, the following is a tentative timeline for the adoption of these modest amendments to the shoreline management. So it would go to the Aitkin County Planning Commission in September, and then back to you, the board, for final approval in October, November timeframe. And make sure we have that 10-day rule, we get everything out and the public's noted. So again, requesting a motion to committee of the whole with public comment on July 31st, 2025 at 1 p.m.
Does that meet with everybody's schedules? I know Andrew and I had a conversation yesterday, and this was one of our concerns, that it was compatible with
Works with me.
I got it, ma'am,
I'm
works
good, I'm
online,
open.
Brett.
so far.
Perfect. And again, I suggest that we use the same format as we did with the previous one. We'll adhere to the public comment rules.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I'd like to see the lake associations,
Thank you. Yeah,
LeClaire,
absolutely.
Big Sandy,
Hill Lake.
Hill Lake, the watersheds.
Yeah, just make sure all the associations get a notice of it.
Make sure they all get notified, and the townships.
Are all the Lakeshore Associations members of Aclara?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
Aitkin, or Hill City just formed last night.
Oh,
They
okay.
just formed there, so I'll
Awesome.
make sure that
That's been a long time coming.
it has, it has.
And the townships, because the townships are gonna have a big say in this.
Oh, absolutely.
I will ensure they all get invites.
Sounds
Whether,
good.
whether they show up or not, 1 o'clock
Your
on a
buddy
Thursday.
Tom Myers would love.
Yeah. With that, Chair, I'll make a motion.
Oh, motion on the floor to set effect. Commissioner Carney, motion supported. Travis?
Yep.
Commissioner LaVisca. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Commissioner Westerland?
So Andrew, why is the cannabis in the shoreland?
Well, because when we approved the cannabis ordinance, Planning Commission, and the county board, we okayed that there could be,
You'd think it would be separate, just have its own ordinance. The only reason I say that is because, do we have band rules? You know,
no, we do not. No, we have a cannabis ordinance and it bled over into our other ordinances
okay,
because we do allow it. But remember, we have checks and balances in place. Everything is a public meeting. So the public's gonna be invited to any type of cannabis.
because you know, they can buy a piece of property and just build and do their own thing, their own rules, and they don't pay tax.
That's correct.
So I don't know how anybody can even afford to open up a shop, and they are. I mean, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's really sad.
Yeah.
So, and then also the solar ordinance that's in here, is there a discussion on the disposal of the wind and,
Yeah, we have that.
okay,
Not so much wind, in our solar, section of the general
Yep.
zoning ordinance that we approved in 23.
yep,
It
it's
is
in
the-
that one,
Yep,
okay.
it is disposal,
We,
yes.
we
ma'am.
did a lot of work on making
Yes.
sure that there was a
Yep,
disposal
that
plan.
we had, I
Yes.
haven't
Yeah,
I haven't looked at it in a while. I mean, there's so many that we had to go through. And then, I don't know, I keep trying to understand why we don't, on the natural environment lakes, we don't allow, parks, RV parks, VRBOs moving forward, just because they're so small. And
Okay,
I think it's important. I mean, most of them are under 200 acres. So they're very small natural environment lakes. I mean, you can't have a boat on it. You can't do a lot of things on there. I don't think the public understands that. It's not just a regular lake. So I don't know, just whatever anybody else thinks, because I know we have a lot of issues when you have a VRBO.
Yes.
This lake is too small. It's almost like a private lake when it's 50 acres or 40 acres, and then somebody wants to rent it out. And I get it. We got to start putting some rules on some of our lakes, and I think this would be a good input on, with the public to see, what their input is, because I think it would really help.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner LaVisca?
Well, we did do a lot of work on the VRBO ordinance, and we put a lot of time and effort into getting
Yes, you
public
did.
comment into it, and we did make sure that we had some safety measures in for the small lakes. So I think we can't have motorized watercraft on the small
Right.
lakes. We can't do, so we do have rules in place. I think that
Right.
we felt protected them, I guess, when we passed the ordinance. So, I mean, certainly, I'm not saying we can't revisit all this with
Yeah,
concerns brought up, but I'm just saying that we did put a lot of work and effort into making sure that we protected our smaller lakes, I think, and I haven't heard any issues. The last time I talked with Connor before he had moved on was that he hadn't had any major issues or complaints, so.
Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, since you guys are discussing VRBOs, I sat on the PC chair of the board, and I think that we would like guidance from the board here. When you have an applicant that's putting in an application, and you have the community in a whole, in a mass number of people, and they have viable complaints about a person or this one to do a VRBO, what is your guys' view and stance of, there's nothing in the statutes, there's nothing in the ordinance other than the conditions that we put on there, but there's already, they haven't even started, they haven't even been approved for the Airbnb, but there's already complaints of trash and encroaching on other people's property and this. What is your guys' view that you think that the planning commission should take that into account as a possible denial?
Well, they need to show up to the meeting. We said that.
Absolutely, yes.
And everybody's got cameras. If there's stuff going on, take a video, take pictures. I mean, you can send them to,
Well, I think my question
Planning and
is
zoning.
that if the planning commission takes a stance and denies the application, is the planning commission gonna have the support of the board when they come and do an appeal?
As long as it's not on popularity.
Well, absolutely, I.
My thing is, as long as it's not on popularity, if somebody is trashing their property and they're not keeping it up, why would you wanna let them build a campground there? And like,
Or Airbnb.
Commissioner Westerland just said, you got videos, you got cameras, you know?
and most of them do. I mean, to protect, it's their property that they're renting out. So they're gonna really screen their people. So some of the stuff that comes up, it hasn't happened. It really hasn't, in my knowledge. I mean, it's, and we can't tell people what they can do with their property.
Right.
And I agree with that. But,
Homes.
and the other problem I have is a lot of people that live on the lake, they don't want anybody else. They think it's their lake. It's not their lake.
Well,
It is the taxpayers of Minnesota's lake. And, you know, Mr. Hagel caught a lot of
And so is the.
Sure,
people on
absolutely.
Opposition.
feedback, but he
Andrew,
did
do you-
everything right.
Do you think that would put the planning commission at ease knowing that they'd have the support? Because if it's denied, they always appeal to the board.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
and I just want to make sure we have the support, because some of the board members have made comments to me about it, going, well, is the board going to support or no? You know, are they getting, and have justifiable reasons.
And we have to be cautious not to put the cart ahead of the
Exactly.
horse.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean,
That's right, yeah.
Mr.
Have your
Chair,
And I think that's where a lot of the Airbnbs in the previous have been just, okay, we'll put the conditions on it and hopefully, and Kevin, you can agree to this too, we put our hands together and pray because there has been problems previously and we just say, hey, you understand,
Yep.
you know, and I've given many cards out to the complainants going, if there's a problem, call me.
The planning commission has authority to revoke
Right.
the conditional use, and they have, I think 2 times since we've started in 2014. or
Commissioner LaVisca?
I guess my advice from myself would be if like, go back to the camera and video, if there's obviously feasible proof that people are letting their properties just go, I mean, there should be some track record of, yeah, this person's gonna be responsible with what they're doing on their property.
All right, I appreciate that, guys, thanks.
And the question at hand was the establishment of,
Sorry about the diversion.
all the questions.
of a committee of the whole. However, this discussion was germane to
Yes.
that very topic. With that, I will call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Motion prevails.
Okay.
Thanks very much,
Yes,
Andrew.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Andrew.
On to the nitty-gritty facilities. Jim Bright. Welcome, Jim.
Who's gracious with his
Yes.
Hi, Kirk.
Good morning.
Hey, Kirk, you sounded good on the radio this morning, too.
Kirk's
Oh,
busy
good,
season.
he's bringing us books.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey Kurt, could I have your autograph?
Thank you.
Did you sign mine, right? Yeah? Thank you.
Lots of stuff going on. Oh my goodness.
All right, thank you for your time. I had said that I would have a few fair board members here to give an update on the fair, and I put out the text, and instantly Kirk's name came up. He's been doing this a couple years, decades, pushing half a century.
What, about 40 years now?
Pardon?
40 years?
No, 58.
Oh,
Over half a century. Okay. I started
Okay.
out as a pretty young kid.
I stand corrected.
Half a century.
A gopher. I was
Yeah.
the young legs that could run from one end to the other.
So it was pretty obvious who to get up here to talk about the fair. So
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to Kirk and
All right, thank you.
Welcome, and again, for those out in TV land, Kirk Pazer, former county auditor and member of the Aitkin County Fair Board.
Yeah, so this, the first county fair was established in 1890. And so makes this one really the 136th fair here in Aitkin. And because, always got to have a little piece of history on that, is that the very first fair was held here on the courthouse lawn of would have been then the 1885 courthouse building that existed at that time. But exhibits were, produce displayed in the court chambers and in the judges' room with the nice cabbage heads, because there was a lot of produce production back in those days, and horse pulls and oxen pulls out on the lawn. So that was the origins of the very first fair. The fair was also in a few other locations around town, but in about 1910, the property where the fair was acquired for that purpose, and thankfully for the the families that were the business people and that in those days saw that was, something that they wanted to bring to the area. And so 136 years later, we're still at it. What do we want to say? We have a full slate of activities and happenings at the fair. So some of it's educational. So if you want to learn about salsa and barbecue sauce or pickles, we've got some of those classes, some sewing classes and art classes as well. So, along with the usual kind of commercial exhibits in that industrial number 1 building, which is itself historic, having been built in 1937 as a WPA project, along with the stonework at the main gate. But that building still is in use and serves well. However, it's not the oldest building, because in 1932, the county board at that time, authorized funds to build the cattle barn, along with a couple of other buildings. But the cattle barn still exists, so more than 90 years old, and that. So we're very fortunate to have those properties, because it kind of ties that historic
They knew how to build things back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty solid. How many storms has had survived and floods and so on. But anyway, we've got a whole itinerary of music going on what we call the Windy River stage. So if you like the sounds of the band Chicago, the Duluth Transit Authority is coming in on Friday evening and will perform there. And we've got some bluegrass music we'll be performing on stage as well. And, that's free entertainment. So come and sit and listen and relax and, go from there. Stock car racing, along with the ever popular school bus racing on Thursday, Baja racing on Friday, and new this year is 3T rodeo on Saturday, kind of late afternoon. I think the main show starts at about 4 o'clock there. So trying something a little bit different to mix it up a little bit.
Hey,
with that.
Kurt, is it true what I heard at the Legion meeting last night, that Jack Cooper's going to be driving the patriotic bus that has the jet engine in it? Is that true?
I have not heard that.
Because if that's true,
You're gonna be there.
Pulling your leg.
Let's sell tickets.
we need to sell some tickets for that, because I will just say this about Mr. Hooper. There's a reason why he has the nickname Crazy Jack. And at 90 years old, I'm just saying, I mean, it was a rumor I heard.
I have not heard that one. We'll be keeping my eyes open for years.
Yeah.
But,
Say no.
Yeah, I certainly know Jack well, and
And the helipad and the ambulance and the fire trucks.
yeah. We usually first responders, the works there with that, because I had a nephew who participated in the school bus races the last couple of years. He won't be there this year, but yeah.
Just curious, I mean, you know.
Well, that'll be great. We'll add some, excitement to the show, because, that school bus racing, it's not about speed. It's about the kind of the theatrics of bus racing there. But
They'll have all of the above.
Who'd have thought? Because you get those buses going side by side, and they're scraping sides, or they might bump each other from the back. Or
Just make sure you don't have a mic in the bus.
yeah, understand. Yeah, we might not want to broadcast that too far. But anyway, also, I thought it was important to note a number of community organizations provide food service. There are actually eight community organizations. So it's the Lions and the Legion and VFW and Methodist Church and Long Lake Foundation, Fire Department, all have their menus there, but it works as kind of a major fundraising event for their organizations as well. And certainly back this year, Crescent City Amusement, I think this is the 18th year that we've had that Midway, which is a kind of a long-time relationship
Very much a
with
class
them,
act.
but it is, in my book, it's the best. Yeah. There's other good carnivals out there, but I think this one's the best, and it's also the best fit for our size fair. We're not a 100,000 attendance fair or whatever like that. So
Maybe someday.
yeah, it's growing. Keeps growing a little bit. Last year being a tough year because it was hot and humid and wet, but this year, things are coming along pretty good. The grounds are in incredibly good shape and very well groomed, and so I'm sure that the whole show of the fair will present itself very, very well.
One thing I'd like to add about the carnival coming to town, I get every year people say, yep, we knew the carnival was in town, because they go up as a group and they buy a lot of their groceries that they use for those days in this town. They go up and they shop at our local businesses. In the past, the owner of the carnival had bought, what did he buy, 2 side-by-sides?
Yeah.
Locally when he was here. So they come to town, they supply a service, but they also do put back into the community when they're here. It's nice to see.
Yep, even the laundromat. The laundromat will add extra hours in so that they can go there and, get their clothes washed and all of those kinds of things. So, that's still money coming back into the community instead of heading out. So we're very appreciative of that.
Remember the old days, Roger Brothers shows in the Midway? Their trucks would break down between the gate and the horticulture building.
Yeah.
Limp into town on fumes.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night. As kids growing up, we lived along Highway 169, and that was the route that Roger Brothers shows took into Aitkin. And so we'd always be out there in chairs sitting there watching for the rides to go by and in that. And the same thing last night as the carnival was coming into town. Of course, it was evening, and I'm at the movie theater, and so I'm out there waving at them as they go by, and kind of a good welcoming gesture for them, because it makes them feel, inclusive of the community and that. So
still one of the good memories, having grown up in Aitkin County.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the building projects that we did this year was an addition onto the sheep, pig, goat livestock show arena, and lengthened that building because we were
beyond capacity of the building that was there before, which also was recently constructed. But so we added on to that building. It added more pens for exhibits. A lot of goats are coming in, and extended the show arena area for the livestock show, and that. So it's turning out to be a really nice project with that, and having good results. And there's bleachers for when they're conducting the livestock shows and that. But that was project was largely the result of some grant funding that the fair receives from Minnesota Department of Ag, but some community donations and donations from organizations helped fund that project, and it's really turning out very, very nice. So,
if I may, on that point, we expanded the capacity for that, and Jim was saying that our 4-H is budding so much that we still may not have enough capacity for some of the animals.
Yeah. We're already thinking, well, okay, this should kind of, have a little bit of flex, and they're already like, okay, all the pens in the new addition are full. What was there before is full. We wind up doing a little bit of overflow. Sometimes a few goats wind up in the poultry building next door, or else in the cattle barn next door. Or
I think it just goes to show what our 4-H in the county is doing.
Really expanded, and some very nice, good quality exhibits too as well. And as I talked on the radio this morning, and it's like, for these 4-H kids, we're not talking about a 4-day project here. This is like 365, that they have these animals and that they work with them and do a lot of kind of training and haltering and that to do the showmanship, the display with that as well. I know my niece, who's kind of as a young girl, grew up in cattle. And actually, she started off with turkeys because the Gusson family grew turkeys. Well, along came bird flu the next year. No poultry at the fair, and one of their friends said, "Well, hey, why don't you bring one of my steer or a heifer to the fair?" And so, she latched onto it and went through 4-H showing livestock and trips to the state fair and one thing another. But she's got 5 animals coming into the fair this year, and is paying it forward because somebody helped her as a young child, and so now she's working with a young 4-H girl on doing showmanship with some of her animals there at the fair. And so that building connections, and certainly it benefits the fair and the community. And
Kurt, I used to cuss you guys.
Yeah.
I would come home and I'd have a fainting goat, or I'd have this goat, and I'd say, that 4-H in the county fair needs to go away. But I got to tell you what, I watched my daughter and her friends spend many years showing a lot of different animals and going down to the state fair, and the lifelong friends they made. But I think that speaks well of your 58 years.
Yep.
And all of the other volunteers at the fair and the 4-H.
Yeah.
And I will apologize to you guys for all the cussing I did when I'd come home and find a rabbit or a chicken or a calf or 3 new goats or a sheep. I was like, I hate these people. I owe you an apology because I watched a bunch of young kids mold together, form lasting friendships, and it was because of our volunteers at 4-H and you guys on the county board. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about, and it's a community project. It's not just the fair. This is the community. It's all of our Aitkin County families and Aitkin County kids and that participating in 4-H, and builds lifelong skills and relationships there. So it's really
even over the weekend, the number of families and little kids working together, getting things set up, hauling sawdust in.
Yep, absolutely, you know, and there's the 4-H malt wagon, you know, they volunteer to cover that because, you know, that's one of the big attractions and the big hits is that
'Cause they
4-H
can
malt
eat malts
wagon.
all day
And,
for free.
and it's like, you can't not go to the fair and not have a malt.
That's right.
Yep.
Don't you think it's cool that it's all about the 4-H and the kids?
Well, and if you,
It ain't even so much the midway.
yeah,
It's
all
the
about-
4-H.
Yeah, and that's really kind of, you know, swung around a little bit and has really become a very strong presence. And, you know, that fairs ultimately were very ag-related, ag-based. It was the vitality of and the ability of the area to produce produce and livestock and that. And, you know, we're really just seeing a good return to that as being that base of, you know, what fairs really were in their beginning. Yeah.
yep, and I think that if you've ever been to the horse shows, top notch. These kids work
Yep.
so hard at that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And the fairgrounds is packed.
Oh, yeah.
What was it,
Well,
3
the
weeks
Beautiful
ago?
barn, I mean.
The horse
the big,
show
Beautiful barn.
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
weekend. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a parking spot.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and later on in the month of August, we have a bike tour coming, and they're going to stay at least one overnight at the fairgrounds. But I mean, we're like 1,000 to 1,200 people coming in for that, and they're just gonna, you know, camp, pitch tents and camp
Like you
there on
said
the
before,
grounds.
buy groceries, gas, and heaven knows what else.
Yeah,
Economic development.
yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah,
helps.
it's great. But main thing, I want to, you know, certainly thank the board and invite the board and your families to the fair, but thank you for your support, you know, of the fair. It's, like I said, it takes everybody to make this work and keep it going.
Some of the concession booths must be quite profitable based on the RVs and the $300,000 campers.
You know, it's a lot different than the Roger Brothers show
Dance,
days
yeah.
of the, maybe of the mid
slept on
sixties,
the
as I
tilt-a-whirl.
recall. Yeah, it's
$100,000.
changed, and, you know, the rides themselves are, you know, into the millions of dollars of costs, you know, and, you know, I look at it when Crescent City comes to town, and it's like, you know, but they're bringing us, you know, literally millions of dollars worth of rides, you know, to build our show, and just kind of speaks to the quality of and the management of their company, because it's top notch.
Kirk, are you still on the Minnesota State Fair Board?
Yes.
You are, okay.
Yep.
Again, another feather in our
Yep.
cap for Aitkin
Yeah.
County.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, about 4 years now on that run. But yeah, come the end of August, we spend 2 weeks there at the fair. We have on-site housing, and so we're right in the thick of it all the time. And you know, we're kind of assigned like to be liaisons of some of the major exhibit areas. So whether it's cattle or pigs or sheep, horses. You know, the static exhibits, the sewing, the arts, the baking, you know, all of those kinds of things. And so then that's how we learn about them. But, you know, the science is probably the same here as a county fair. It's just the numbers are huge. You know, at the state fair, you get about 2 million people, you know, attend the state fair. And
The great
over that
Minnesota
12
get-together.
days. And, you know, it's, you know, Minnesota State Fair is recognized among the best of the best. Not only in the nation, but even internationally.
It's very well kept.
Yeah, Commissioner Sample was talking about his daughter, and when I'd be on job sites, people would ask me, what do you got for animals at home? I said, well, when I left this morning, I had 2 horses, 3 rabbits, this, that, everything. But, yep, you never knew when you came home. But Commissioner Sample's daughter was just ending the 4-H career when my daughters were kind of getting into it, and was one of the leaders.
Yep.
As my daughters were just exiting, Raya's niece was just kind of starting, and you can just see that building. And now with Facebook, I know my daughters are friends with Commissioner Sample's daughter on Facebook, and they maybe don't speak all the time, but they still know each other. They know what the other ones are doing, and yeah, it is a community, and it's great to see. The other thing I would like to say is, without the land department giving us a hand with equipment, without the highway department helping us with equipment, get the, any kind of dirt work we need, getting the track ready, every department that we go and ask for help in the county is more than willing to help. And that's really how this all comes together. If it wasn't for some of these other departments, we would not have the fair we do.
A cooperative effort.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. It takes, it's a cast of thousands, literally. I mean, it takes a little bit of input from a lot of different areas. And certainly, we have to recognize the county departments for, what they do that helps support the fair overall.
Kirk, thanks very much for the update and for your many years in dedication
Yep.
to the Aitkin County Fair.
Thank you. And again, I invite all of you and your families or friends or whatever to come to the fair and take a tour around in that. So, we'll be on, I'll be talking with Lakeland TV on Wednesday, so we'll get some media there. I did KKIN this morning. We'll be recording some messages with the Brainerd radio stations this afternoon.
Great.
Renee Alexander, the CEO, and Mary Chung, the Minnesota State Fair Foundation, will be coming on Friday to do a fair visit and that.
Awesome.
So, and I expect visitors from several of the other county fairs will be coming through. So, it literally is. We have outreach. Beyond state boundaries.
Good.
And at the grandstand on the 11th, you have the veterans recognition.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yep, that's new this year. There's a committee that's working on that, but that promises to be very, very nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks again, Kirk.
Yeah, thank you.
And Jim.
All right.
On to facilities.
This is not nearly as fun as the fair. Just saying. We've talked at end about the HHS remodel. This is in front of you. We have a lease agreement for the VFW. It is a one-year lease starting August 1st. We will not be moving into that building for use until towards the end of August, but it's going to take time to get all the infrastructure set up, get all that done, so we needed a little bit of extra time. VFW has been awesome to work with up to this point, and I see it not changing. I mean, they're great guys to work with, more than willing to help out, get this project done. I like the fact that we're helping out the VFW when the building is closed, gives them a little bit of income, and it will make a very, very accessible spot for the clients of HHS to get in and out. We've got the handicap accessibility covered, large parking lot, things like that. So, this agreement has been reviewed by the county attorney. He is happy with everything that's on there, so.
You've heard the request.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion approving, Commissioner Sample, support.
I'll second.
Commissioner Westerland supports. Any discussion? Good job.
Thank you. We will have one more agreement. I was hoping to have it today. It is in lawyer land, going back and forth, but it's basically, we're just at the final revision. I was just waiting for it. I was hoping even I had it before I came up here. I did not see it, but we will definitely have it by the next meeting. And then those will be the two buildings that we will lease for temporary housing. So.
Sounds good. Thanks. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Contract is formally adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work, Jim.
Thanks,
Jim.
Sarah.
And Sarah?
Sarah.
Have a safe fair, Jim.
Yes.
It will be, it's a very busy few days,
Yeah.
but it's very good for the town. It's good for the community.
It is. On to administration updates. Mark.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of quick ones. Yesterday, I listened in on the NACO legislative update call, virtual call that was there. They were updating some details around SNAP and what that all means. So I will send out the file that I received from that so everybody can take a look at it. I know Commissioner Carney's representing Aitkin County at the end of the week at the NACO Annual Conference, so safe travels to you and make us proud out there, naturally better and all.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Sample.
Is he taking the car? Or are you flying?
His arms will be tired.
Yeah.
Yes. I did list in our interim administrator updates for you. There are some opportunities if you want to join 4-H at the fair on some voting and things like that. I did put those times in there for all of you if you choose to do that. And then you just heard from Jim and Sarah on the HHS remodel. I think they're doing a fabulous job putting those details together. I think the real work is going to start in the next couple of weeks to 1 month. But I really compliment them on the work that they're doing. It's a lot to put those details together to move full facilities out, and they're doing a really nice job with that. We're gonna meet with them as a team again next Monday to see if there's anything else we can support them on, but they're taking the ball and they're running with that, and it's really cool to see, so appreciate that. And that's all I have.
As far as, this will be germane to our budget process. When will we, I kind of know just based on what you pick up on the news and everything else, the final fiscal effect on SNAP for Aitkin County, Medicare, Medicaid, mandated programs versus none.
Yeah.
When will the dust settle and?
It's looking more towards fall
Yeah.
in September. It's looking like some of the big pushes will be 27, and we'll see those numbers, and I'm sure Commissioner will bring back any additional information as he's out there, but yeah, that's what we're seeing right now. So it's gonna be a tight timeline for budget.
Depending
when you have
upon
to
what
put-
news you watch,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the sky is falling, it's Armageddon. But you look at the actual legislation, and you mentioned the 26, 27, 28, et cetera.
yeah, it's just
But
pushing out.
It's gonna be a real rush to the end here with the budget process.
And my big thing is, what's law and what's mandate? What's funded mandates and what mandates are law? And that's the breakdown I wanna see, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
know,
I'm sure we all do.
sorry, yeah, I know that Sarah is working from an HHS perspective. They're working on that right now. AMC is working hard on understanding what that means from a state standpoint. So once the second that information's ready, we'll get that out and be able to review it.
And again, thanks to you and your interim management team
Yes.
members. You're doing a great job. We appreciate the updates.
We'll continue that until we don't have to anymore.
That's right.
And I'm speculating that hopefully we'll have somebody on board administratively by September 1st at the very latest.
Yeah.
Optimistically, realistically. Mark?
Exciting.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
On to Commissioner Committee reports. Who wants to go first? Commissioner Sample, thank you.
I really don't have anything.
No wonder you wanted to.
No wonder why he
That's
let
why I'm
go
like,
second.
hey,
it
Choose
go
me.
second.
No, AIS was canceled. And we had a conversation before the board meeting this day. He's gonna do it later in the month because we haven't had one in 3 months.
Or updates.
Or updates, and the airport commission hasn't, McGregor Airport was just pay the bills. So we've really, that's about it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner LaVisca.
I just had Jet, and we just kind of got started on some contract discussion for management's staff. And most of my meetings are through the next couple weeks here.
Thank you. Lori?
Sure. Didn't have a whole lot. I had, Mille Lacs Watershed, one watershed, one plan for the Rum River. seems that we have a lot of money, and we have a lot more money coming, and we have a lot of projects going on, but it's, you know, to get that stuff all together, we're just hoping we don't lose any of the funding because of it. But we do have quite a good bank account. We actually invested some money in the IRA or a CD or whatever it is.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because you can't, you know, you gotta have the money when you have the project ready. I don't know, it was a really short meeting. Anyway, then we had the ATV committee. We discussed that they probably are gonna start going out for bids on the construction of the Northwoods ATV Trail, the Mille Lacs Connector, the wetland replacement thing will be up in 60 days. The archaeological study, that was kind of somebody's supposed to be there, but they got sick and haven't been there, so I don't know how that story's gonna go. It's just gonna be another setback if the state decides to, you know, pick that up. The rare plant survey was done. MnDOT, well, we approved the Cross 65 thing. Other than that, we talked about wetland credits, possibly purchasing from the land depart, or the highway department. On the open market, it's $1.83 per square foot. We could get it, and it's about 3.5 acres. So it'd be very expensive, it'd be about 65 grand. It'd be a lot cheaper at the land department, but that discussion will continue. So yeah, fall construction, Malmo to 65. The land department continues to have Zoom meetings with Winseth every Friday. So that's about it.
Thanks, Lori. Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, 4th of July, Hill City, fantastic turnout. Reports of the parade route was like 8 rows deep. Only bad thing was the humidity and heat got to most of them, and they dissipated quite quickly, but a great turnout. Last night, or yesterday afternoon, I was at the Hill Lake Fire Department, where the Lake Association was formed. 2.5 years in the making, probably more than that. I mean, as many years ago, they had a lake association, but it was not they thought they were a governing body rather than a supportive body. So, but excellent turnout there. I think 30 people, they selected a board. They're gonna go through the process of building that. So very excited about that. Last night, and we spoke just briefly on this morning, due to the winds and rain over the last couple of weeks, the Mercantile and Palisade collapsed. The back portion of it. Looks like we have a hazardous situation going on, the walls hanging out toward the road. I'll get back with them after this meeting. We've got points of contact. Thank you. I got a hold of Jessica also to see if there was anything that the AMC had, you know, points of contact. So she sent me a couple. So I'll get that to the mayor after this meeting and get them on the right direction. I will be leaving tomorrow. I have the NEM to ATP board in Chisholm, and then from there I'll go to the cities and fly out to NACO. I will be taking I asked her to print me out our
Legislative.
thank you, our priorities, and I'll take those with me. I'll make more copies. I can't be at all of the like agriculture, health. I'm on Health and Human Services, but I will assure they all get a copy of our flyer so that they know Aitkin's priorities, even though we can't be there to represent during the meetings. Okay. Other than that, I think that's all I have. Oh, Angie Acres, let me put that. Great report from Angie Acres. They are the ones that you guys proved the feedlot. They did a fundraiser, a meat sale, astronomical amount of money was sold. They donated $5,000 to the city of Palisade for the revitalization of the Swanson Park.
Yeah, correct.
So I think the board here did a great move in supporting this business into this community, and I think you're gonna see in the near future some major returns.
Where are their retail outlets?
He has it at the Angie Acres farm there.
Yep.
On County Road 5.
On County Road 5, and then he's looking at, now this is just speculative, he's trying to get the mercantile, destroy it, build a brand new grocery store, meat market, fresh meat market there in Palisades, so.
Great.
Yes,
If I can add, he also is supplying to local restaurants from the
Yes.
farm to table, so you can get that at Smoky Jake's, The Joint, Block North,
How about the meat
on the
raffles?
fireside too, right?
Fireside.
I believe he's giving food to, or.
The meat raffles?
Sheriff's
They're
Department.
exceedingly popular.
Yes, the meat raffles, they do provide the meat raffle at Palisade. But actually, both bars,
Yeah.
both bars there, yeah.
Wow.
Did you
Yes.
get, you know, there were questions regarding the feedlot when we discussed that. Did you get a lot of those questions answered?
Well, we did get the questions answered. They are meeting every requirement set by MPCA. Is that the right one? MPCA.
Okay.
And they had a little situation this weekend. We're finding out all the details. I guess the police were called out, and people had to be removed off of his property. They were protesting or whatever. I don't know all the details, so I don't want to go into
Right.
it. We just need to get with the sheriff if
Okay.
you want more information on that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That's all.
Commissioner. Have a successful and safe trip.
Thank you.
Yes. Do good. Have
good.
some good time. God, I would love to go to Philadelphia.
Really.
I
Never
wouldn't
been.
make any meetings.
Never.
I'd be out traveling.
Well, they're gonna do a walk on the afternoon, that one free
Oh, I
afternoon you
bet.
have. They're doing the walk or run up the
Oh,
steps for
geez.
Rocky or whatever.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I'll be walking it.
You'll be
I'm
fine.
gonna walk it.
You better make sure you got cool clothes on.
At airport and budget, very preliminary. The dust hasn't settled, so, heaven knows where things are gonna end, but, Kathleen Ryan, our county auditor, is heading that up. Doing a great job. She's on top of things, and, I think we've got a meeting in 2 weeks.
Is that what it is?
Travis?
Sounds right.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll know more, try to funnel the information that we have, refine it, bring it to the board as a whole, and see what happens, I guess. Aitkin Airport, we met, fairly routine kind of maintenance items. We did submit a grant for a new terminal building, a congressional directed spending grant. And I got a list back. I looked at it, Aitkin was on top. Then I realized it was alphabetical. Yeah, right. One of these days, so. But things are going good. We've got a chopper that comes in. It's a two-person chopper. And they fuel up here. And I think it may belong to that guy, I'm speculating, guy that lives on Gull Lake that
Oh.
wanted to put a helipad in
Yeah.
and didn't work. But it's an interesting aircraft to look at. That is all I've got. Anything else, commissioners? If not, next meeting in 2 weeks. So enjoy the fair, be safe, spend a lot of money down there. Support the 4-H. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Commissioner Western moves adjournment.
Support.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. This meeting